if your assessment is you want to put 400% tariffs on China, which, by the way, there makes no difference between 124 versus 400%. It is a de facto trade embargo, okay? Ain't nobody is paying that price because no commodity is that exclusive and that good. What is this? What do you think now that you have his perspective? I mean, I think in terms of how markets move and how markets react to certain things, I think he has a better grip on that. But in terms of, like this being destined for failure and being utterly chaotic, we don't have any disagreements. But I think that there is still a direction that the Trump administration is facing down that I don't think is as belligerent as, or what's the proper term for it? It's not necessarily because they are belligerent, but there's a reason why Donald Trump is so stubborn. There's a reason why Donald Trump is so stubborn on this issue, right? He is a psycho, but it is intentional. It's not unintentional. It's not as directionless as people would have you assume. This is, in many ways, Donald Trump's effort to maintain American hegemony. That's it. That is what I think. I think that it's going to fail because of capitalism's inability to maintain market dominance because the contradictions are worsening. But I do think that this is an effort, like this is a national security effort from Trump. Will Neff, wow, 47. I'm almost dead. 47, same number as our glorious president. Dear leader. Justice Department bars his lawyers from American Bar Association functions. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because the one aspect of what Nathan was saying that I completely agree with is the fact that the markets do not respond to all of the political chaos and instability, the erosion of due process, the erosion of the First Amendment, blackbagging people for hurting the feelings of Israel and stuff like that. But the one time that they do actually respond is when Donald Trump fucks up the bag. And that is also interesting. There's an interesting phenomena that like so many people are so locked in to their personal wealth growing and the stock market performing in a way that they expected to, which is to always grow, that they're just so deluded about all of the genuinely fascist things that the administration has been doing. That in and of itself, I think, is very something interesting that I've noticed.
If you've ever
fear and anger in China as Trump tariff war with the U.S. ramps up.
Something with a made in China label, it could well have come through here. Yiwu is the biggest wholesale market in the world. A vast and varied trove of trinkets. Chinese goods made cheap and tailored to foreign buyers.
2 kwai. So that's about 20 pence. Yeah, 20 pence. 20 pence for this, almost certainly on its way to America.
It is a place where the world comes to
shop. How could you tell?
Mass orders to be shipped back. Many buyers had been from America. That business now all but obliterated in the face of one man's war on trade. In the sports section, we meet Lee, who specializes in basketballs.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This guy is single-handedly responsible for the thing that annoys me the most. I've tweeted about this before, if you guys remember, like these insane basketballs. Like, I just want to buy a Wilson basketball, and there's always, this is my guy. This is the guy that's responsible for all the fucking stupid-ass basketball brands that are like, here's a glow-in-the-dark basketball, and it's branded as like Xiaoma. And it's like, he's the one who's just cooking them up in the shop, pumping it into the Amazon marketplace.
Tariffs have more than
by way of annoying American dropshippers.
Doubled the costs for his American customers. His orders already down over 60%.
Yeah,
不可能说
Gowran.
恢复到以前。
It's impossible to recover to where we were in just a short period of time. It's having a huge impact, a huge impact. Look, there are many other sellers. Costs are high, like rent. The exchange rate is going up. It's a big test. It's very difficult.
Sentiment here is dismal. Feelings about Trump equally so.
Here's your rant about the basketballs. How do the
Buying anything on Amazon sucks so hard. Now it's all drop shipping garbage with botted reviews. Dude, I know. I tried to buy a new basketball, and like the first 100 responses to my very normal search was like weird ass Chinese balls that I've never seen before. One was like glow in the dark. It's all Alibaba balls, bro. It's nuts. Let's try it. Night Match premium LED light up basketball. It was like this. Senston Champion Sports Official heavy duty rubber from customers' preferred brands. I doubt a single customer prefers this brand. Buying anything on Amazon sucks.
literally? Also here's Kevin O'Leary's idiotic assessment where he claims that Xi Jinping will be overthrown because of Donald Trump's brilliant moves. What a moron, dude. What an absolute idiot. What a dumb baboon this guy is. Oh my God.
Tariffs in China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it, and sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs?
They steal IP. Okay, why are you still manufacturing then? Why are you still manufacturing there then? Why? If they steal IP, did you not know that they were doing that last year? Did you not know that they were doing that a decade ago? Is it actually theft if the American enterprise leadership knows that it's happening and still voluntarily moves manufacturing there? This is the dumbest argument of all time. And I'm not even making the case for intellectual property abolition, even though I do believe in it. Okay, I do. But the notion that like the American capitalists did not know that China was doing this or was going to do this and still continued to work with China is so dumb. It is a lie told to the Americans. It is a lie told to the Americans. It is a lie told to the West. And that's why you hear it all the time from the dumbest people in society. You got Apple, okay? You're not Tim Apple, little bro. You barely can get a fucking apple from the grocery store, and you're over here talking about how if Apple must maintain its IP protections, like what the fuck is going on here? I can't believe China is stealing their IP. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? You think Tim Cook doesn't know that that's happening? The fuck are you talking about? It's the dumbest argument to make. You are a consumer. You have nothing to do with this process. What do you mean China is stealing IP? Are you Mr. Intel? Are you John Intel? Are you Tim Apple? No? Then shut the fuck up. Because from your perspective, the only thing that you get is a possibly cheaper generic alternative. Why the fuck are you complaining, you stupid moron? No, you don't understand. I'm John Nvidia. I can't believe that fucking they're stealing our IP.
I want Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. This is not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on.
Yeah, also, Apple is extremely careful about their IP and are willing to lose money to protect it. If Apple thought that China was stealing IP was a problem, then they would leave. Exactly.
China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not.
Yeah, how did that happen? How did that happen? Doesn't it feel like Trump, at least ostensibly, wants to reverse that? We did that, and now Trump wants to reverse it. He wants to break it. The fuck do you mean? None of this makes sense. It quite literally doesn't make sense. Do you want to be a manufacturing economy or do you want to be a consumer economy? Also, you're fucking Canadian, you bald piece of shit. Why the fuck do you care? Shut up. You're America's hat.
Don't have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall.
Yeah, also, he said 39% of the entire planet and not 39% of China's overall exports. Okay, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but it's significantly lower than that. Let me tell you. Okay, the U.S. is Canada's shorts. Yeah, and guess what, dude? Canada, you shit your shorts, okay? Because we shit ourselves. So that means you shit your pants, Canada, is 12%. Yeah, I think it is 12%. Yeah, guess what, Canada? You got dookie in your pants. Why? Because we shit ourselves, okay? Canadian slander is so easy for you. Did I miss it? Wait, what did
Economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall.
It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall? Oh my God, dude. The way we talk about Chinese people and the nation state and how permissible that kind of fucking statement is. Dude, this is like when Iranian leadership talks about America saying like death to America or lights an American flag on fire, and we throw a fucking bitch fit for a week. We're like, how dare they do that? First of all, they have every right to do that. Okay? They have every right to do that. Of course they're supposed to do that. We're fucking them over. China is not even fucking us over, and you still want to kill them. Like, what is wrong with you, dude? I'm reminded of that meme where it's like, hey, would you like to buy our cheap commodities? And it's like, I'll fucking kill you. And then underneath, it's like Israel being like, give me all the money that you have so I can do a genocide. It's like, yes, of course. Of course, Israel. Thank you for demanding. It's fucking nuts.
Now.
Well, hold on a second,
tariffs.
Kevin. Well, I hear you, but hold on. If we're talking about people, the average consumer, not necessarily the head honchos of businesses all across the globe, can they withstand the pressure of that sort of tax on the goods?
Short-lived. There will be.
But what's your timeline compared?
Short-lived. What do you mean? Why would that be short-lived? If your assessment is you want to put 400% tariffs on China, which, by the way, there makes no difference between 124 versus 400%. It is a de facto trade embargo. Okay? Ain't nobody is paying that price because no commodity is that exclusive and that good. So it already doesn't make difference. It doesn't make a difference at all. But you're over here talking about like, oh, it's just short-lived. Why would that be short-lived? Why? How would that be short-lived? What do you mean by this? What happens when they fucking hold out?
You don't know the average American's timeline, what they can actually survive. There's people right now who can't survive
400% tomorrow morning, cheese on an airplane to Washington to cut a deal.
400%. China owns a complete production chain and has big enough domestic and international markets. You can't squeeze China, but good luck paying 400% more for your phones, coffee machines, washing machines, batteries, bikes, light bulbs, shirts, and toys, and everything else you don't know that's coming from China. Exactly. Straight up. Like, you know what will happen? You know whose head will end up being squeezed against the wall? The American elite. Okay? You take away the treats. You take away the fucking treats, and let me tell you what will happen, okay? It won't be the against the wall. It'll be your bald fucking head. The fuck? Us Canadians hate this dumbass. His own people hate him. I know, but I'm sorry. I'm sick and tired of Canada dumping their worst pieces of shit on us, okay? I'm an advocate for mass deportation of all reactionary Canadians off of U.S. soil instantly. We do. Maybe we are Canada's fucking diaper, dude. And Canada keeps shitting in his diaper, keeps shitting the Kevin O'Learys and the Steven Crowders of the world directly into their doo-doo ass. And we happen to be the diaper that eats all that shit. David Frum. Anyway, is Canada dumping or is America a magnet for shitting people? Oh, no, America's a magnet. America is a dookie magnet. Okay, straight up. America is a dookie magnet. We got, dude, every other nation's discards we voluntarily bring over here and turn into celebrities, okay? I'll never forget the number one anti-MMR vaccines cause autism doctor that the British government literally was like, yeah, what the fuck are you talking about? You can't say these things. You're no longer a doctor. Andrew Wakefield. You know what Andrew Wakefield did? Immediately, first flight out to the United States of America. Now he has a fucking compound, a model wife. Fucking Andrew Tate is another one. We only take every dumb reactionary from every other goddamn country. Citi lowers China GDP growth prediction to 4.2 from 4.7. This is truly extraordinary and really demonstrates that Trump doesn't have the cars when it comes to China. He's about to put tariffs on over 100%, and one of the top U.S. banks, Citi, predicts that the impact on China's GDP will be 0.5, virtually nothing. I mean, 0.5 GDP impact is not nothing, but I think China can handle it. Chinese QAnon supporting immigrants. That's true. What is this? Can you please?
Whatever you think of Trump, his economic plan makes complete sense. The US has 36 trillion in debt. In 2025, they will spend 6 trillion, but will only collect 4 trillion in revenue. So they need to borrow 2 trillion, and this will increase their debt to 38.
Dude, yeah. What are you saying, man? None of that matters, okay? None of that matters. What kind of math are we doing? America is not defaulting, okay? America doesn't take debt like the average family. America doesn't even deal with debt in the way that other countries without sovereign currencies have to deal with debt. It's just not any... Dude, look at the stock market. It's all... The entire global economy might as well be held together by the confidence that everyone has in America maintaining its superpower position. It's just like America being like, yeah, default is possible. No, if America is defaulting, it's over. The entire global system is collapsing. You have much bigger issues to worry about than America defaulting on its debt. That means everything is over. That means the world, in the way that we understand it, is over. China wouldn't let that happen. Okay? No, that doesn't mean China wins. That means China is losing too. What do you guys think? China still trades on American currency. No, it is not in China's best interest for America to default and the entirety of the global the entirety of the global markets to collapse. That's why I think it's so stupid when these guys are like, you don't understand. America is it has too much debt. Like, that's not even the reason why Trump is doing any of this shit. That's so stupid.
38 trillion. Trump economic plan is based on 3 levers. Number 1, cut expenses by 1 trillion, which is Doge, Elon Musk. He's targeting waste and fraud, like social security payments for people who are 150 years old. That is just fraud.
Yeah, Trump is really reducing American expenditure. That's why he said, we're going to have a $1 trillion military literally yesterday. This guy is so fucking stupid, okay? Why did you guys send me this insanely idiotic argument? I hate when people make these dumbass arguments with no understanding of anything. Social Security in and of itself is self-sustaining. What the fuck is this guy talking about? Like, oh, there's so much Social Security fraud. Like, what are you saying? 950,000 fucking likes on this idiotic, like, this is what, a minute in, and there's like 11 erroneous claims in it.
2, increasing revenue by 1 to 2 trillion through, number 1, tariffs. They will increase tariffs from 50 billion to 500 billion target. People will say, but other countries will retaliate. They will not be able to do it. The US is the biggest customer on earth. They consume 20 trillion every year. They are the biggest importer. They import 3 trillion every year. Plus, the current tariffs is actually not fair. Why should US cars entering Europe faces 10%?
Aç kapıyı aç. Bu musun? İyi mi şimdi 401k'in? Murad's been suffering looking at his portfolio and his retirement for the past week. So I asked him if it's doing all right.
Tariffs, while the European cars entering the US just pay 2.5%. It's not fair. And because of the tariff changes,
It's not fair.
it now makes economic sense to build factories and businesses inside the US again. That means more jobs, means tax-paying businesses, and more foreign investment coming in. He will also increase revenue by deregulation. He will remove...
Oh my God! What is this? Dubai Ian Miles Chong? What the fuck is this? 954,000 likes, bro. Virtually everything he said is fucking wrong. Oh my God. He's Egyptian? My bad. I mean, can you blame me for thinking that he's from Dubai? Can you blame me? Really? I'm not going to watch the rest of this. I think he's maybe joking. This guy makes me content, I thought. What? The comments are worse. The U.S. needed a businessman to run the country instead of a career politician. Exactly. This is what the media will not tell you. 105,000 likes. That's literally all the media has been saying. What this guy is explaining is the only thing that Fox News has been saying. He is, as a matter of fact, just regurgitating what Fox News has been saying. He's actually regurgitating what Trump has been saying. What the fuck are you saying? This is the only thing that Donald Trump says. And therefore, every part of the mainstream media, mainstream press, either because they're repeating what Trump is saying and reporting on it, or directly defending it, is saying this. People are so incredibly fucking stupid. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's going to be okay. Sam Cedar is the perfect solution.
This is, I just want to pitch this one thing because I've heard nobody talk about this. We get a huge 3D printer and it prints an entirely different world.
Yeah, who needs to go to Mars? Just make another world.
Yeah. We could just make it a whole nother planet where we're the only.
Stop hating on Arabs because they are Arabs, mate. Not cool, man. Shut the fuck up. Arabist, typical Turkish. Me clocking him as a UAE guy is the exact opposite of me discriminating against him. He is Arab, dumbass. Anyway. Ex-Biden State Department official says even the Israeli military expected the U.S. to only let them bomb Gaza for weeks rather than unconditionally for a year and a half. The history of America's unwillingness to sacrifice the profits for the U.S. defense industry to the rule of law, combined with the unique privilege enjoyed by the state of Israel, should have meant that U.S. support for Israel in the aftermath of October 7 was not surprising. Yet even the Israeli military expected the United States to allow them to carry out the indiscriminate bombing campaign for only a matter of weeks. Have you seen British HasanAbi in
What do we actually want from the PRC? What does the West actually want from China? What are the goalposts? Because we continuously keep moving them. In many ways, the West will not be happy with China until China stops being China. The West's expectation of China lacks complete clarity. For instance, on one hand, we say we need to follow all the World Trade Organization orders, principles. Yet, on the other, we have an incumbent president in the US who's favored.
Yeah, they're not following the World Trade Organization principles because, dude, you know what's funny? The World Trade Organization, America saying China's not playing by the rules and China actually fucked us over is basically like Ethan Klein in the Context Puke coming out and being like, Hasan lied to me. He hid the fact that he's a socialist. It is the exact same fucking statement, verbatim. America's like, wait, what? The Communist Party of China in the People's Republic of China was operating on not the capitalist boundaries that we've designed global trade around, but instead we're casting aside market fundamentals for something different, a, dare I say, command economy. What? How dare they? We didn't think that they would do this. We did not think that they would have a complete control over all of their private enterprise and would often create goods at an impossible to compete price point. What? They're fucking socialists, dude? What the fuck?
Favorite word is tariffs. Love tariffs better than love. Tariffs on the Chinese. I'm doing Donald Trump. That wasn't.
Yo, that's the guy. That's my dude.
Clear. So, countries are continuously being asked to reduce their oversupply in China, while we continuously buy their cheap.
My only crime.
What is this? The confused Zionism of... Oh, Chris Kunzler. I didn't know he had a YouTube channel. Chris Kunzler is my TikTok goat.
We need to go green. Morally, as a planet, we need to push towards net zero, but not with China at the center of that. We need to work together on a global global healthcare. Well, we just had a global pandemic and we didn't work with China. What I'm trying to say is 1 in 8 people live in the global West. 7 in 8 don't. 7 billion people on this planet have a very different perspective of China as to how we think they should have an opinion of China. China's not a dirty word in many parts of this planet. In fact, it's seen as a partner. So we're not living in colonial era. We're living in a time where China is redefining the global order. Does the UK need to choose between the US and China? China has become, like it or accept it or not, the manufacturing hub for the Western world. We made that conscious decision. What do we actually want from the PRC? What does the West actually...
Yeah. Do you think this is because people unironically thought communism was dead with the dissolution of the USSR? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it is that ginger from the UK because guess what? He's the president of the Cambridge Student Union now, I'm pretty sure. All right, let's keep going. Being pro-China to own the repubs? No, I'm just I'm in team let China do his thing, okay? I'm on team China's not my enemy. The global capitalists are.
So, Chu Hai-ching might...
I'm on team, if you want to fucking outcompete China, just do China shit, okay? This is not a secret. This is something that I've advocated for quite a while, as a matter of fact. I've always said this. I've wanted America to do China shit. Like, jokingly, people say, oh, it's because you want high-speed rail. Sure, that's part of it. But, yeah, that's what I've been advocating for.
Put on a cheerful show, but just listen to what she thinks could come next. A sense that the public wants to show how it feels. If it were me, I'd definitely choose to boycott American products, she says. Like cell phones. I'm using this now, but if it carries on like this, I might not buy it. I wouldn't choose it anymore. The official response when it came was decisive. The words resolute. We will not back down.
The US continues to impose excessive tariffs that exert extreme pressure on China. China firmly opposes and will never accept such domineering and bullying behavior.
In the end, trade was China's main target. Levies matched like for like. A more political response was feared, one that would have seriously raised the stakes. A degree of restraint, perhaps, behind the rage.
There is a genuine belief at the top levels of the Chinese system that the US's ultimate goal here is to restrain China and undermine its growth. And in the context of that belief, giving in to Trump just isn't an option.
I dream of a world where the American government is doing Chinese-style command economy shit and building robust manufacturing capabilities and greatly improving the material conditions of the American working class, and I sit around like I'm fucking Asmongold, and I go, yeah, based, all day. That's what I dream of. It's not a secret, okay? I have ideological convictions, and if the government represented my values and actually uplifted the working class, I would be dick riding that administration harder than Asmongold dick rides Donald Trump. I would just sit around and go, yeah, well. Once again, chat, it's based. That's it. It'd be fucking awesome. Yeah. I'd still shower routinely. Probably wouldn't have time because I'd be just like fucking live all the time, glazing the American government. All right, I'll be watching you little punks. I just started building a factory here in America this week, and because I live in Florida, I was looking forward to cheaper labor with the rollback in child labor laws. Yeah, and Trump cooked your shit, stock guy. Guess what, dude? Take that factory back to Vietnam right now. Yeah, based. You see, you don't understand. Trump's got motion. Yeah, this is a good take. I feel like the win today, I was told I said you're an idiot. No, someone said that you said I don't know anything about the stock market, which isn't necessarily wrong. But in terms of Trump's policies, I suspected that you and I are most likely in agreement and that we are not in disagreement, considering what Trump's volatility has done to the markets in general. This is correct as well. I feel like the win today is kind of like if a guy was pissing on your leg for 4 days and then he stopped saying, and he stopped and you said, it's a good day. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Based.
But this moment marks a real low in US-China relations because over the years, despite all their disagreements, trade was always there as a backstop, keeping the two linked. If that's gone, there are big questions about what could come next.
Indeed, experts say economically, there aren't many options for escalation left.
It doesn't really matter whether it is 50% or 100% or 500% or even 1,000%. It doesn't really matter anymore because it is already becoming prohibitive. I think all these things are going to, let's say, lead to an acceleration in decoupling.
From Yiwu's vantage point, the impact cannot be overstated. And the enormity of the world's two biggest economies essentially ceasing to trade has barely yet sunk in. Further escalation is still possible. This moment is still perilous. Helen Ann Smith, Sky News in Yiwu, Eastern China.
The stock market finished with a boom today. Nice to see all that green.
Yeah, by the way, stock market finished with a boom today. Nice to see all that green. White House says 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico to remain in effect. The walk back of the cave-in begins immediately. Let's see the market impact now.
Green reacting to President Trump pausing.
I think they're probably still nutting all over themselves because, as that chatter correctly pointed out, Trump's. So we shall see. We shall see the aftermarket announcements impacts.
Most of his tariffs on the world for 90 days after injecting mass chaos and fear in the.
No, I know it's closed. I'm saying that, oh God. Immediately after the markets closed, the Trump administration announced that the 25% tariffs in Canada and Mexico were on. I still suspect that people are nutting all over themselves for the brief respite that they got from Trump today, so it won't impact them that much.
The markets. That pause does not include the tariffs he's imposing on China. Trump hiked that tariff rate to 125%. So what made Trump blink or cave or change his mind, whatever verb you prefer? He said his decision, quote, came together early this morning and, quote, was written from the heart, whatever that means. It probably also had to do something with the bond market, he said, which is usually safe in times of uncertainty. It didn't appear that way this morning, of course. Here's Trump.
Oh, I was watching the bond market. The bond market is very tricky. I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy.
They were getting the yips, he said. CNN's Richard Quest is with us now. Richard, Trump claims that China wants to make a deal. If you were a betting man, do you think China and the United States are going to come to an agreement? Do you think China's going to cave? Do you think the U.S. is going to cave?
I think China is going to watch to see whether or not you sort of do tit for tat, but the tit for tat gets lower and lower and lower until you end up somewhere in the middle. And that's why I think the 125 is an interesting number that Trump went for, from 104 to 125. Is that number just small enough that China can either live with it or just about beat it? Because at some point, one side or the other is going to telegraph that they are ready to meet. The only thing against what I've just said, to argue completely against myself, is that the Chinese statement overnight is that they are in this to the bitter end. And that's the worrying part, because China maybe just was written off the United States for the foreseeable future and is just going to go head-to-head, toe-for-toe. We're going to have to wait for a few more hours to see if they match the 125 from Donald Trump.
And Richard, Goldman Sachs says Trump's trade retreat has not changed their own recession forecast, even though the stock market went up today. Its best day in 16 years. Still not back to where the stocks were when Trump announced so-called Liberation Day. Are the gains today, is it like pushing an old lady down the stairs and then wanting credit for helping her back up at the bottom there? How do you see it?
That's very
thank you.
That's very
I made Richard laugh. All right.
I was going to sort of say it's like the arsonist calling the fire brigade and then taking credit. Similar sort of idea. No, this is why Goldman is saying what it's actually said. Number one, you still have the auto tariffs. Number two, you still have the steel and aluminium tariffs. Number three, you have the Chinese tariffs at 125%, the largest bilateral trade relationship. And number four, you have a new global US tariff of 10%, which is 3 times the previous average of 2.5%. So yes, the worst in terms of Japan, South Korea, the EU has been staved off. But there is so much tariff in the system at the moment that's just going to wash over the global trading system. We are so far from being out of this.
All right, Richard Quest, thanks so much. Before pausing the tariffs, President Trump posted this morning, quote, "Be cool. Everything is going to work out well," unquote. Moments after he made his big reversal, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt tried to take a victory lap.
Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here.
Joining us now, someone who knows the inner workings of the Trump White House well, former White House Communications Director Alyssa Farah-Griffin. Alyssa, how did you take that? Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here. When President Trump, in his own words, made it very clear that this didn't seem to be part of any strategy. He just saw that people were getting queasy.
Right. I mean, listen, this was clearly, and Donald Trump said as much on the South Lawn, that he was looking at the bond markets collapsing, and that was what forced his hand into this reversal. And this from from an outsider's perspective, but who was once an insider there, I get the sense that a lot of the major decisions these past few days have been made in a very small circle, and a lot of the communication staff and the staff who are going on television talking about what's going on are often kind of behind the curve in the president's decision making, because we were repeatedly told this is not a negotiation. Then Donald Trump says it is a negotiation. And beyond that, hearing from foreign leaders, but more importantly, they're hearing from business leaders who a lot of them bet big on Donald Trump. They thought he was going to be good for the economy. They were expecting Trump term 1 all over again. And then they saw the markets in shambles. So I think his hand was forced here. And thank God you're hearing a big sigh of relief from Capitol Hill and from our allies around the world right now.
You say during your time at the White House, trade advisor Peter Navarro, who Elon Musk has been insulting over and over this week, that Navarro sometimes presented ideas that were half-baked. But there's still a lot of loyalty between Trump and Navarro. Today, Republican Senator Rand Paul, who doesn't believe in tariffs, he called Navarro a walking economic fallacy, which is, I should note, at least nicer than Elon Musk saying he's dumber than a stack of bricks. Do you think Navarro's days are numbered at all in the White House, or Trump doesn't care about any of that?
I actually don't think they are. I think Peter Navarro will be around. I think perhaps his influence over global markets and sweeping trade policy may be sidelined. He's a person who, if you listen to him in a small, narrow way and then take in the advice of other people, could potentially be helpful to the president. But what this White House wasn't able to do, based on what I'm going to call the Navarro plan that they rolled out, is explain exactly what the full plan is. Is it full reindustrialization of the U.S.? Are we trying to bring back every factory that was lost? Are we cutting off basically all foreign trade and thinking we're going to be able to build everything from iPhones to sneakers?
Also, how? Who's doing it? With what money? With what infrastructure are we doing these things? What's the timeline? How do we train people?
Here. In that aspect of it just was not clearly articulated. I think Donald Trump feels some alignment with Navarro and his policies, but he's a businessman who understands how you create jobs and how you keep an economy going, and Navarro's ideas are just the antithesis of how you do that.
All right, Alyssa Farah-Griffin, thank you so much. Our panel's here now. The Navarro Conundrum. That's like a Robert Ludlum book. I don't know if you read it. Phil, according to the latest jobs report, there are nearly 500,000 vacant manufacturing jobs right now. Now, Trump's talking about bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States, which sounds wonderful. But if there are 500,000 vacant manufacturing jobs right now, are those jobs even desired by people?
It is a question that has not been answered by the Trump administration, in part because they just aren't anywhere close to that point yet. Like, that would probably be viewed as a good problem to have, where all the manufacturing has actually moved back to the United States and we're trying to train a workforce. But it is a clear reality right now in the marketplace. Manufacturing has changed.
We are not making those wages better. Let me tell you, okay? By God, this admin will do anything it can in its fucking power to ensure that those jobs remain low wage, no benefit ass jobs too.
Changed dramatically over the course of decades. It is so tied to automation and technology, robotics, that the types of jobs are high-skilled labor. Now, to be very clear, J.D. Vance, Vice President, a speech at a summit a couple of weeks ago made clear they're not trying to create manufacturing jobs that would be equivalent to cheap labor back in the United States. They want innovation. They want those types of high-skilled jobs when those manufacturers come back. But it gets at, I think, an issue that people don't necessarily grasp, with good reason. There's been some serious stuff going on, which is the number of things that have to connect and go right for the Trump administration's theory of the case to be borne out are very complicated and very tied to things that are out of their control. And right now, they're just trying to kind of get out of the gate on some level.
Yeah, and J.D. Vance 2.0, as opposed to the one we have now at 3.0, said that he didn't think protectionism was the way to bring back these jobs. It needed to be addressed with automation and education.
Right, he shifted. I should note, our colleague Samantha DeLua has a great piece on this. It's running tomorrow on .com. Like, read it. It's much smarter than what I was trying to roll through.
No, you were great. Ashley, it seems like not even the U.S. Trade Representative knew that this change, that this pause for 90 days was going to happen. He was testifying before the Ways and Means Committee in the House of Representatives when it happened. Take a look.
How long is the pause? How many days? How many weeks?
I understand it's 90 days. I haven't spoken to the president since I've been
in
this
So the trade representative hasn't spoken to the president of the United States about a global reordering of trade.
Yes, I have. I've just been in the hearing with you, sir.
But yet he announced it on a tweet. WTF? Who's in charge?
Oh, God. Who says WTF? Just say what the fuck, man.
The President of the United States is in charge.
And what do you know about those details?
Well, as I mentioned...
it looks like your boss just pulled the rug out from under you and paused the tariffs.
So, Ashley, Chuck Schumer on the other side of Congress, the Senate Democratic leader, he called this a government of chaos. Do you think... What do you think is the role for Democrats here? Because I've also seen Democrats, tariffs are good. I like some tariffs. These ones are not good. But what should be the role of your party?
Well, I mean, I think that what they need to do is lay out the case. There's two things at play here. It's one, either sheer incompetency on the part of the president, or he's intentionally trying to tank the U.S. economy. I happen to think it's actually both of them. And I think that is a position
you think he's trying to tank the economy?
There is no other way to explain it. How else do you explain the sort of haphazard nature of it all? How else do you explain that markets have been dropping and tanking globally for weeks, and he still continues to pursue this effort? I don't understand it. And then, more importantly, we've learned the lessons from his first term, where there was a mixed bag in terms of results of his tariff agenda. So I don't know how else to explain it. And I think that is what the party needs to put forward to the American people. And then really make the case that the people who are the victims of all this chaos, it's the American people, from their pocketbooks to their retirement. That's what's actually suffering right now. And let's just take a step back, because this is the one thing I think my party has failed to really lay out, and that is less than 3 months.
You think your party's
yeah, I mean, effectively, less than 3 months into this administration, we're talking about a recession.
Yeah.
I mean, let me repeat that. A recession in less than 3 months. That is remarkable.
And it's people
it's unprecedented.
like Jamie Dimon talking about a recession.
Absolutely, but it's the people on the ground who are already feeling it. That's why they protested all weekend. This is why Republicans are trying to rein in the president on this tariff agenda. I mean, it's a real thing, but my party's failing to really lay that out.
What I'll say is I think it's evidence that it's a huge relief that there's at least some impulse to take an off-ramp here. And last night when we saw Treasury yields blowing out and we saw the 10-year hit 4.5%, these are dynamics that happen when there is like extreme stress, illiquidity, run dynamics happening in financial markets, that can't persist very long. When you see moves like what we saw last night, I know the Secretary Bessent there said this was not a response to what we were seeing in market volatility, that it was all, you know, art of the deal, et cetera. Nonetheless, you know, clearly the markets were under extreme distress. And I'll just say a couple other things. You know, the market is, you know, I'm looking at NASDAQ 100 futures. They're still down 5.5%. The China tariffs are still huge. That's going to be, you know, a huge effect on lots of American companies. There's the 10% sort of floor tariffs. Those are still in place. So, look, I think it's a big relief that obviously some of this has been delayed, but I think there's still quite a bit to work through here at a very minimum, or there's some sort of like true all clear. Every major index is still like deeply in the red on the year. S&P is down 9.6% on the year.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, he is actually. Joe Weisenthal is a part of Bloomberg chat.